GM, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today is Thursday, the 26th of December, or Boxing Day. Merry Christmas to all of you. For yesterday, obviously, there was no stream yesterday. So today, I'm jumping on. I'm going to do a very quick update because the markets are still very, very quiet. We did see a bit of a bounce yesterday that we spoke about the day before. Bit of a sound to bounce. However, a lot of that move has now been retraced. So this is likely to happen in the market right now on very, very low volume. Most of the big players are away from their desks this week, obviously celebrating the holidays. So, look, I think where we are, obviously, we've come up, we've retested this second trend line in here. We've obviously struggled to get above it, so we're coming down. We're now looking for potentially a retest of this descending diagonal down here, potentially coming down to retest the lows one more time. In terms of where Bitcoin's at right now, if we just take a closer look and we put on our Fibonacci's, we can see we've come down, we tagged the 1618, or sorry, the 618 retracement. So potentially this provides a little bit of support to the market, and it remains to be seen whether this market can now start to trend on upwards again back towards 100,000, or whether it wants to go for a little bit more of a dip, maybe down to this descending trend line coming in around about sort of 93, 94,000. We just look at the liquidation heat map. We can see we got some liquidations just below price, but the majority of those were taken out this morning at 8 a.m. GMT when we actually came through these liquidations here. So we can see we have sort of taken out the majority of the liquidity below price over the last 24 hours. And the majority now is stacked above yesterday's high at around $100,000. If we go and we look at the weekly as well, we can just get an idea of where the liquidity is. So of course we have liquidity above 100,000. So that for me remains a bit of a target. We did catch some of it yesterday on that bounce. But there's not too much here to the downside really until the lows. This is looking at the longer term time frame. So maybe the price, we have talked about the price potentially coming down towards 90,000, coming a little bit lower, potentially sweeping these lows. Whether that happens this month, I'm not so sure. I'm still expecting us to follow the path I drew in a couple of days ago. So I'm expecting probably we will see one more upside move before any potential retest or any move lower. And potentially that retest comes, we take some liquidity, everybody starts to get bearish looking for lower prices, and Bitcoin starts to Bitcoin sort of grinds things out from there and starts to push on higher towards the end of January. This is what I'm thinking. So I'm thinking probably a bit of chop, a bit of consolidation going into the new year, potentially some more flushes to the downside. Potentially we do go lower, as low as maybe 85,000. I've spoke about 85,000 being a bit of a target. That is about a 20%, I believe, move from the high to the low at around about it's around about 86 or 85 would be about a 21% move. So potentially Bitcoin has that on the cards over the next few weeks, but I am expecting things to be bullish in Q1 of 2025. And this for me is all really just positioning going into the new year. Like I say, any dips I think are going to be dips for buying. Personally, that's what I'm going to be looking at. Ethereum as well broke this descending trend line. Potentially it's coming close to that. Maybe it gets a retest of that, and then we see a bounce in Ethereum. So obviously I'm thinking Ethereum probably follows a similar trajectory to Bitcoin, with potentially a push up, putting in initially a lower high, but then looking to come and put in a higher low and forming some sort of consolidation into January. Obviously Q1 tends to be the best quarter for Ethereum, especially after halving years. So I'm thinking that Ethereum should do well over the next month, and any dips are really going to be opportunities to buy. Solana coming up, tagging $200, coming off again. So again, let's hope that Solana can put in a bit of a higher low. Obviously, we've got this descending diagonal. I've sort of redrawn this as a bit more of a line of best fit. If we go back, this sort of captures the high, the all-time high from the last cycle and the highs from this cycle. So similar to the descending trend line we've got on Ethereum around the 4,000 mark. Um, Obviously, Ethereum's below there, but Solana is actually above the same marker. So as long as Solana can hold this, Solana will still be showing some strength relative to Ethereum. I still think Ethereum likely catches up and gets above its 4,000 level over the next few months. But it's interesting to see if Solana can sort of pull things around here and start to see some positive price action going into Q1. I think that will definitely start to make things look better for some of the altcoins and some of the Solana memes that we've spoken about on the channel as well, that are starting to show some signs of life. Mind you, we have to just be wary of any further flushes or any more downside going into Q1 before Solana and Ethereum really start firing, which I think they will do over the next few weeks. Pepe coming in for a retest then of the all-time high again here. So again, I quite like these levels as areas to bid. I think, look, I'm fairly well positioned or fairly heavily positioned, shall we say, for those traders that potentially have sat out of a lot of this price action and just wanted to look at where things lie. Then I think this kind of retest would be a great entry on something like Pepe. I think the same on Solana. If we get a retest of this descending trend line, probably a good entry. Same on Ethereum, a retest of its descending trend line. Same on Bitcoin. If it decides to come down and retest its descending trend line, again, I think these levels are going to be important levels to get some reactions from. So hopefully the market does respond over the next few days. Obviously, the DXY is trading despite the cash equity markets being closed. But look, just consolidating at highs, like we said, the dollar, we're looking probably at higher targets for the dollar and to see some sort of reaction at those higher targets. Obviously, we spoke about the Fibonacci retracement levels and also this order block being important levels of resistance for the dollar. Stock markets then, these are obviously stock market futures. We can see they're on a bit of a bounce this week. Had a decent up day yesterday, and really this week has been fairly decent for stocks. A little bit of a pullback today, and potentially this is spilling into the crypto markets and giving us a little bit of weakness. We can see the Nasdaq as well has come up. The Nasdaq actually came all the way back up to 786 Fibonacci retracement from the high to low off the back of the FOMC actually closing above there yesterday. So like I say, if the Nasdaq can sort of turn around and take out yesterday's high, then it will look very good for a retest of its all-time highs. Obviously, Bitcoin still lagging behind a bit. And if we check in on Bitcoin dominance, then despite the downside today, Bitcoin dominance is also seeing a little bit downside. Obviously, usually when Bitcoin falls, we see the altcoins fall a lot faster, and that's what sort of causes these quite aggressive spikes in Bitcoin dominance. But we're looking really for altcoins to start to stabilize over the next few weeks and certainly the next month. And I do expect altcoins to start to show more strength against Bitcoin over the next quarter and probably over the next month, starting in January, with us going into what is seasonally Ethereum's strongest month and quarter. I think the breakout of Ethereum above $4,000 will really start to send the altcoin market. So I'm going to keep this one fairly short and sweet because there's not a huge amount to talk about. So I'm going to wrap it up there. But like I say, just finishing on Bitcoin then. Bitcoin looking to put in a bit more of a bounce, I'd say, over the next few days into the end of the month, and then potentially a bit of weakness into early January is what I'm expecting. I don't really see anything which tells me something otherwise might be happening. Like I say, hopefully a higher low gets put in. So we'll see where we are tomorrow. But that's it for today's stream. Obviously, enjoy the rest of the week with friends, family, wherever you are. Have a lovely day, and I'll talk to you all again, same time, same place tomorrow. GM.